What's up, guys? It is 7 Minutes Sunday. I have 7 minutes. Isaiah is going to ask me questions, and we are going to get going now. Isaiah, first question.
What does perfect jump technique look like?
As a 1 foot jumper, you have alignment from your heel all the way through the same side shoulder at touchdown of the takeoff leg. In 2 foot jumping, you lower and you're able to stay low and accelerate into a good plant and block foot. So you plant on the outside of your heel. If you're left-right, the left leg, and then the block foot comes around internally rotated on the ball of the foot with short ground contact times, roughly 250 milliseconds. And 1 foot jumping can vary from 160 to 200 milliseconds.
Is running in the THP workout routines aside from sprints?
Yes, there is running, sprinting, and tempo running.
How does lack of ankle mobility affect athleticism?
You will have an inability to squat deeply, efficiently, or easily, which could limit your work load because you won't be able to squat as much as frequently.
How do you plan progressions of each exercise when starting a new mesocycle?
I have a progression for Olympic lifts. I have a progression for squats. I have a progression for plantar flexion. So I look at what the sport is. If it's a jumper, I do a needs analysis, and I look at the athlete, and I say, this athlete is here or this athlete is here. Where do I want to start that progression based off it? So if they're beginner, they're going to start with beginner exercises. If they're advanced, like Isaiah, they're going to start with advanced exercises, and it's going to move from that start point, wherever that is, to increasing intensity, increasing specificity, and increasing complexity.
What is your thought on the ATG split squat for knee rehabilitation?
I don't know exactly like sets and reps what they do, but I know that they do progressive. Basically, it's load management in a sense, or it's progressively increasing the graded exposure to whatever stimulus that is. I don't think there's anything inherently special about it. It absolutely will not make athletes elite. I think that's ridiculous, and no one, like the claim that everyone can be an elite athlete and this is the way to do it, is not true. I think that being a good knee bender or whatever that they say is kind of bullshit. I think you could be a bad knee bender. I've talked to elite sprinters and elite high jumpers the past 2 days, and I think that that's not a claim that is substantiated by them.
Can you deload halfway through a training phase?
Yeah, absolutely. You could do it one weekend if your numbers are going to shit.
Does weight play an important role in dunking off 1 or 2?
Yes, I think that 2 foot jumping, you can afford to be heavier, and you can afford, like Mason Baker just texted me, he was like, I want to go to 210, I liked it better. A lot of 2 foot jumpers like being heavier. 1 foot jumpers, I found they prefer to be lighter. I personally have found this to be the case. High jumpers, just even any 1 foot dunker, we like to be light. We like to weigh as little as possible and minimize upper body mass and maximize our lower body strength and power.
How do you get rid of Achilles tendinopathy?
Isometrics, progress to slow, calf raises, then drops, then running, then sprints. And I think you need to avoid pain. I think oftentimes guys want to be on the coattails of pains with the patella, but if you have Achilles tendinopathy, you want to avoid pain.
What do you consider a good vertical?
Ooh. For like anyone?
Yeah.
I would say if you're younger, if you're in high school and you're in the 40s, you're a freak. If you're in college and you're well into the 40s, or post-college, well into the 40s, that's really good. I think in the 30s is like you're good. But if you're in the 40s, like you're great. You're pretty freaky.
How do you recover faster from soreness and tiredness in general?
Tiredness is usually related to being unfit. So if you're not very fit and you're training really hard, or the training is way harder than your fitness level, that's probably why, is you're supposed to be tired. If you're sore, you just keep doing the thing that you've been doing, and eventually you won't be sore anymore. So if I have sore quads from squatting, I just need to keep squatting, and eventually I won't be sore, because you get sore from novel training stimuli. That's what research indicates. And heavy eccentric loading, which if you haven't done for a while, you're going to be really sore.
How should a complete beginner train?
Wait, what's our timestamp?
We're at 5 minutes.
Oh, wow. Complete beginner needs to do all the basic movement qualities well. They need to squat, they need to hinge, they need to push, they need to pull. Can you do a push-up? Can you do a pull-up? Can you squat? Can you do an RDL? That's like fundamental basics. You can't do that. You probably should start there, and then you can start adding in Olympic lifts, which we do with guys, and running also is kind of a prerequisite movement pattern you should be able to do. And technique, master technique.
Do you ever think to yourself, man, all this work just to jump a little bit higher?
No, because I like training. Absolutely not.
What was the most painful or worst thing on your journey to dunking? Or the hardest part?
The hardest part, so to getting my first dunk, I think the hardest part was finding good information. There was so much misinformation out there. It was hard to filter out what was good information and what was bad information. Now, improving, I think it's somewhat similar. It's still kind of the same issue. It's guessing, not guessing, but it's using evidence to guide what decision you're going to make, testing, retesting, assessing, retesting, etc.
All right, you have 30 seconds for each of these.
Oh, shoot. All right.
What are your thoughts on post-activation potentiation 6 hours before a dunk session or contest?
6 hours before is maybe far enough out. It doesn't do anything. Most times you're going to see coaches do it right before the activity. That's how it was intended. That's what you want to do it for. I don't think that really does anything. If anything, it's just a glorified warm-up.
How does height above sea level affect how high you can jump?
It does affect it very marginally. There is some evidence that indicates that. How much, I can't really say. Also, typically, if you're way above sea level, you are at altitude, and so breathing is difficult. But maybe it helps a little bit. Isaiah did break the world record at the first time in Utah, and we're in Florida when he did it the second time, so maybe it doesn't do anything.
And 2 more questions.
Yes.
Where can athletes get coached by you?
Go to THPStrength.com and sign up for coaching. If you want to get coached by me and the highest jumper in the world, Isaiah Rivera.
And last question is, do you guys have a discount code?
We have a discount. Use THP for 10% off your first month.
All right, we're at 7 minutes.
Speed round over. See you guys.